Hello and welcome to another episode of Champions of Inspiration. I'm your host, Scott Schilling. Today, my guest, Jordan Modiano, is on a mission to change the world, one person at a time. Intense, honest, passionate, creative, just a few words to describe Jordan. With his own black and white versions of right and wrong and deep understanding of people, he has incredible inner and outer clarity about life. School was never Jordan's cup of tea. I can understand that. He went straight to work in the auto industry after high school. Years later, decided to get his associate's degree in business, did that in 2 years while working full time, and then took that path to a bachelor's degree, decided that education could provide him and himself would be more beneficial than the coursework he was taking. Jordan's passions start with his daughter and wife, includes his family, friends, work. He's a work hard, play hard person whose personal mission is change the world, one person at a time. Jordan, welcome to Champions of Inspiration.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. I don't know how I live up to that.
Well, it's almost like you wrote it. I mean, it's one of those kinds of things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I know that you've done a lot of things in your life and in your career. What has put you on the path to where you are today?
Uh, all of it. Uh, you know, my path today is a culmination of all the experiences I've had in my life, and I think we've all had those defining moments, those things that happen in our lives at a certain point in time where we remember and you just never forget, and they guide you in a certain direction. And I've had those. I've had those in my teen years. I've had those in my 20s, my 30s. I've had those on job interviews, and I guess the biggest ones I've had was since my daughter was born. So my daughter's adopted. She's on the autism spectrum, and I've learned more about my calling in life and the meaning in life and what I'm supposed to be doing through her and through what I can see she can do than anything else.
No, that's really cool. I know that when you and I met, we talked about my first book, Talking with Giants, and Art Sellinger. I featured in the book so that we could support the Autism Society, the autism movement, because of his son, Jake.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing what you can learn through kind of that unconditional love and that just um, kind of happiness that comes along with where they are?
100%. And but it's the happiness, it's the adversity, it's the confusion, it's the not understanding. There's so much. There's the self-doubt. There's the you get angry at yourself because you know you should be doing more, but you don't know what that more is. And you try X, Y, and Z, and none of them work. So A, B, and C, and those don't work. And out of nowhere, you try something else, and that works today, but it doesn't work tomorrow. And it's hard. And it relates, what I found is it relates so much to life. And, I look at my daughter, her name's Rachel, and I look at the things that she has to do on a regular basis that you or I or any number of other people won't think twice about. But for her, it's literally it's going through hell. And she does it, and yes, she's exhausted with it, but I don't know if I could do every day what she has to do to just get by. And it makes me realize like most of us have nothing to complain about. Life is grand. Life is good. You know, it's it's just riddled with opportunities, and we have to pay attention to them.
Yeah, I think that that's a great point. The um, I've had tremendous opportunities in my career, and part of that is traveling to certain parts of the country to speak, and actually the world. And then to look at somehow I caught a video on YouTube yesterday of the Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton aftermath. and you just see an entire mountainside of rubble with people picking through looking for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not anything in particular, anything. And you go, wow, I'm blessed.
You know, it's so funny that you say that. So I had to do a presentation last Wednesday, and in the presentation, it was actually an opening keynote for organization that was doing a 1 day event. They wanted me to kick it off, inspire the audience, share some leadership lessons. And one of the things that I was sharing was how to take a step back and understand that everybody has had different experiences. So
Yeah.
even though, you know, two people get on the same exact elevator, hit the same floor, get off at the same exact floor side by side, they experience that differently because everything in their life leading to that moment was different. And as leaders, as humans, if we could take the moment to realize we're not in somebody else's shoes, what are they going through? It allows us to be better and allows us more empathy and allows us to help people. So, but what I shared was a few weeks ago, I took my daughter to a dance class. A multitude of things happened. She had a meltdown. It was bad. It was ugly. We turned it okay. The next day, I jump on Facebook and I'm still feeling down about it, for a multitude of reasons. And like, you know, I hate to say it, we all get the woe is me. And I was in that woe is me. I want to slap myself to get out of it. And I open up Facebook and I see a post from my friend Keith. And he was like, we had breakfast there yesterday. And there was a picture of Asheville, North Carolina. And the top of it was today and yesterday. And yesterday there was a village there, and today it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I said, perspective. Like, what am I complaining about? We had a few bad minutes. Didn't even destroy our day. It was a few bad minutes. The town is gone. It's gone. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
compare.
No,
And
I think there's a whole lot of that, right? That we fall into, and hopefully we can just slide through at some time. But I think that's one of the reasons. I know it's one of the reasons I do these podcasts, to help share pieces of inspiration with people. And sometimes it's just a reminder.
but a reminder is so important. You know, I remember, and it's a horrible example, but it's true on how we live. I was talking to a client, and this had to be 10 or 15 years ago, and he was sick, and and he made a comment that I don't remember exactly how it goes. He goes, you know, you never want to hear that somebody else has it worse, but it sure does make you thankful that you're not them. And he was talking about somebody who he knew who had been diagnosed with cancer, and he
Mhm.
wasn't, you know, and you never want to hear that. But in human nature, we kind of forget how well we have it sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I there's a it's a YouTube video. I think it's about the maybe 2016 Rio Olympics, and it's opening ceremony, Rio Paralympics opening ceremony. They sing the song "Yes I Can," and it's got all of these. And I don't want to use handicapped. I don't want to use crippled. I want to use Special Olympians. Some of them with no legs, some of them with one leg, some of them missing arms, some of them whatever. And they're doing spectacular things. They're playing music with their toes. They're running with one leg. I mean, incredible things. And I show it to my daughter sometimes. And I'm like, we have no excuses. Like, we have no excuse.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah. Very, very much so. And it, I mean, what that made me think of is, we all have a choice, and we have a choice every day, and what we decide to do with the day. Do we work to put positive input into the world, or do we work to pull the world down? You know, uh, we have a definite on my heart this morning when I woke up. Um, this happens to be the day that every week that I put out a blog, and I woke up with a title. And then I had to write to the title, but the title simply was United We Stand with Respect, Honor, and Dignity. You know, it
Good title.
doesn't, well, thank you. And so I wrote the blog and put it out, and it's been very interesting, the responses that I've gotten throughout the day so far.
I can imagine. I've gone both ways.
Well, exactly. And I think that's we're at a point where we can make things as good as we can make it because we make the decision we want to make it good. I mean, I think you've done that throughout your career. You know, not wanting to do school and then taking a path, learning some more, taking another path, right? And
You
that's why
never
you
stop
want to
working.
help so many people.
Absolutely. So I think when I got into this business, so I've always been that firefighter. My friend Sal called me the firefighter years ago. He says, "You're the guy who's rushing into the fire." And I never thought about that. I've never, actually, I did fight a fire once or twice, but I'm not a firefighter, but I've always been that guy. I want to help. I want to save the world. Hardest lessons I've learned is not everybody can be saved. You
Yeah.
can't save those who don't want to be saved. Sometimes being, it almost seems cruel, but real is harder. I had a friend of mine not too long ago make a comment to me, and she said, "I deserve better." And I looked at her, I said, "Don't take it the wrong way, but you don't. You don't. You deserve exactly what you're getting, and you're getting it because of the choices you've made. If you want a different life and you want a different outcome, you got to make different choices, and they're harder. But going back to what you're talking about helping people, when I was looking to get into a different business or do something else, I started looking at the current business I'm in, Express Employment Professionals, and it was, hey, I can do this without partners. I can, you know, with retirement, with some other stuff, I can fund this on my own. So, and it's got some profitability to it. It's got longevity to it. It's got a great system to it. Great. As I learned more about it, I learned, holy cow, we change people's lives. We make an impact. And that's something that I knew was missing in my life for a long time. And it's amazing the stories that come out of your head. You remember stuff. 2004, I'm driving to work. I was running radio stations, and my wife calls me. She's a school psychologist. She was working in um, an elementary school in a neighboring district to our house. And she calls me and says, "I'm not going to be in the elementary school today." It was a Monday morning. I'm like, "Why not?" And she said to me, "High schooler committed suicide over the weekend. I'm going to the high school, counsel kids, parents, teachers, whoever needs it." And I'll never forget, I was so sad and simultaneously so proud and unfortunately jealous. So I was sad because nobody should feel so alone, so sad, so whatever that they do that, and sad for the family and the friends because I've been a friend to that and I know what it's like. So proud that my wife actually gets to help people and she's going to do something that day that may impact people's lives for the rest of their lives. Like she makes a difference. And jealous because I didn't do that, because I was going to go sell radio to somebody. It didn't mean a damn bit, and I could, however I wanted to spin it, I could. Yeah, selling radio because advertising, and advertising keeps people coming in and keeps people working and keeps people with jobs. Not the same.
Yeah, no, I get it completely. One of the joys of what I get to do is talk to so many people, and hopefully encourage them, inspire them to do what their heart goes pitter pat over. I mean,
Absolutely.
what do you get excited about? What does it? I had a conversation with somebody today. I said, about 10 days ago, I went for a walk. What makes me happy? And I realized, being on stage, training, being a host of a podcast. being a guest on a podcast, any place where I can deliver a message that could share hope and inspiration, that could inspire somebody to take the action to live their best and most fulfilled life. That's where I come alive. And and after some time of talking to myself, I said, "You're in control of this.
Mm-hmm.
Start telling people that's what you want to do. Start reaching out to people and saying, hey, I want to speak more. I want to train more. I want to impart to encourage others to live their fullest life." Is that why you're making the move towards speaking as well? Very similar. You've got the Express Professionals business, but what's that and what are you working toward more of?
So with Express Employment Professionals, we impact lives. We absolutely do. And, I know what that's like, but it's a few a day. And I want it to be on a grander scale. I want the messaging to be different. I want it to be more than giving somebody a job. I want it to be not much different than you, inspiring somebody to take a shot, take a leap, um, to get sober, to stay sober, to take a chance on themselves, to take a chance on somebody else.
Yeah.
As human beings, we are absolutely magnificent. We are capable of magnificent things. But many of us have lost that self-belief and belief in others. And we need to get that back. And foundationally, the United States of America, you greatest country on earth. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to say one way or another. I do know it was the land of opportunity. It was the place where if you came and you worked hard and you took chances, you're going to grow and you're going to make something happen. I am still a believer in that. And it might be harder, it might be different, but if somebody really, really wants to make something happen, they're going to do it. I had an interview with a guy today, and I said to him, Here's the people that I'm looking for, the ones who figure it out." And it becomes a mindset. It's either I can and I just have to figure it out, or I don't. I ask everybody who I interview to come and work for us, do you know how to fly a plane? Everybody says no. Actually, I don't say, do you know how to fly a plane? That's not the wording I use. Sorry. It's, can you fly a plane? They all say no. And then I say, hang on a second. I want to introduce you to somebody. And I dial and I call Fiona. She's my front office person, now my office assistant. And I have her come into the office. I say, ask her the same question. And they look at her like, can you fly a plane? She goes, well, I don't know how now, but if I want to learn, I can learn. So yes. And that's like, that's the mindset.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to inspire people to that. I want to inspire people that you want to be a great leader, you can. You want to be a great anything, you can. Yes, there are some innate natural skills that may limit you, and no matter how much you practice, you're never going to be great at it. Drop me in the middle of the ocean, I'm going to die. I can't swim. I've taken swimming lessons. I know what to do. I know how to do it. Not happening. And I trust me, I've tried. And it's like, pick me back up under the water. I'm going down. Help me. But that's not for lack of desire or anything else. I believe most of us, if we really are focused on things, we can accomplish anything. And my daughter's taught me that.
Yeah, I believe that to be true. That again, in a conversation earlier today, I shared with somebody. I said I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career. If I chose to learn something, I found the best person at it and wrote them a check to learn what I could learn from them. And if there was a different topic or a different expert, then it was with somebody else. And I, it was funny because they said, well, you've done 3,000 plus live events and you've done all this different stuff. And I said, I'm really no different than you. The only difference maybe is that I take action. If I want to do something, I go do what it takes to do that thing.
Right.
And and they said, well, have you ever, you know, has it ever not worked out? And I said, oh my goodness, it's not worked out far more than it's worked out. But that just gets you to take more action, right? The and I think that's,
Absolutely.
that's where I think we're at a very, um, I think we're really at a good place in our country, because I think people are awakening to the fact of, okay, we took a lot of things for granted, we did a lot of things, and out of sight, out of mind doesn't work so well. We probably need a little greater focus and do that. So I believe that people are going to want more messages of hope, inspiration, and want more coaching and want more training so that they can be on top of their game again.
I agree with you completely. I, I also believe there's more out there than we know.
Yeah,
And, do you know the red car theory? So I,
fire
I,
away.
I've I've heard this in different ways, and I, I don't know where I heard it last, but a woman says to all the workers, "How many red cars did you guys see coming in today?" Don't know. Well, if tomorrow I tell you, for every red car that you can see and tell me what kind of car it is, I'll give you $20. Will you know how many red cars you saw? And they're like, absolutely. So she says, that's just like opportunities in life. I think it's also just like lessons in life.
Yeah.
There's so much out there that if we would just open our minds to paying attention to it, sometimes they're expensive lessons, sometimes they're free lessons. I had one of my young ladies, she made a mistake last week, something that she was taught in training. And granted, when you start a new job, there's a lot in training. She made a mistake and it cost her some kudos. And yesterday she realized she made the mistake and she was really down on herself for it. She got so upset she walked out the back door. She's like, I need to take a walk. I was like, all right. I ran after her and I was like, hey, how big of a mistake is it really? She goes, oh, it's this much money. I'm like, no, break it down. Like none of that's impacted. How much is it really? So it ended up being like a $220 mistake that just money didn't get applied under her name, but it didn't cost us money. So she just doesn't get the credit for it. I said, so is it really a big deal? She's like, no. I go, if you can get a $220 lesson every single week that's going to make you better and it doesn't hurt, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but it's that mindset. So she went completely over here, negative. I'm upset and like, flip it, look it around, analyze, not really a big deal. Great opportunity to learn. I was like, are you ever going to make that mistake again? She goes, absolutely not. you know, but
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. We take our eye off the ball every once in a while, and it's time to get refocused. The reticular activation system is an amazing thing within the human brain. That's the red car theory, right? You don't recognize there are even red cars until you ask your brain to look for red cars. As soon as you ask your brain to look for it, it'll find red cars. It's the exact same thing for opportunity. It's the exact same thing for goodness. If you want to find good people, if you want to, grow your business, if you want to do any of those things, if you look for the good things that allow those things to happen, you will find those good things. You will also find the limiters if that's where you focus. You know,
well
so the
said, Scott.
brain's an amazing thing. It'll it'll answer the call.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just what
you got to put the right
what
stuff in, right?
yeah, what are you dialing? Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so. A friend of mine, you just brought up Orrin Hudson, who runs besomeone.org. If
Uh-huh.
you all hear that, support that group, besomeone.org. Uh, Former Alabama state trooper, didn't like having to discipline people. So he became a chess champion that now teaches inner city youth chess as strategies, moves for life. Every move has a consequence to it. Brains over bullets are one of his programs.
That's
But
awesome.
you know, he just we were talking one day, and he said, you know, super nice guy, great friend. And he said, Scott, if you got a combination lock and you dial the combination, if you put the right combination in, it has to open. It doesn't have a choice. And that's really the way so many things in life are. If you do the right things, if you put in the right combination, it has to open. Your opportunities open up for you.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna steal that.
You don't have to steal it. You can just borrow it. He is a
Okay.
former trooper, remember? No, but super good guy. But he has trained so many inner city youth on the strategies of chess moves are like the strategies of moves in life. And he's got such a great nonprofit that he's working to do that with. He's been on the show numerous times and super good guy. But I mean, I think that's he decided as an example that even though he was doing good as a state trooper, he felt he could do more good teaching kids. So I think that's where you are too. And in a lot of what you're doing, you're saying, hey, I've got a successful business. I'm doing these things and we're serving people, but I want to do more.
Absolutely. And on the selfish side, I get such a, I don't know, an emotional high, a a, a feeling of fulfillment, a feeling of purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. You know, when I get feedback from an event, so I got some feedback from the event I did last Wednesday. The actual event planner, she left me a video testimonial, and she was like you pulled the heartstrings. You had half the audience in tears. You had us motivated to take action and do things. I couldn't think of a better way to start a day. And yes, that's a win, but I connected to people.
Yeah.
And then I saw a LinkedIn post. Somebody actually took a picture of one of my slides and put it up, and it's like, I needed this. It's like, yes. Somebody else responded back to me today who I connected with via LinkedIn at the event. And, I said, what were your thoughts? She goes, oh my God, your stories were amazing. And she also said, I think you had the majority of the place in tears at one point, and you left us all pumped up and ready to take on the day. Like, you took us on an emotional roller coaster. That was amazing. And mission, like, again, feeling empowered, and I helped people do more. And if anybody knows it, somebody who's got champions of inspiration certainly knows it.
Well, thank you. It is. I did a talk a couple of weeks ago down in Austin, and a woman came up to me and she said, I was watching the audience, and at some point you pierced everybody's heart. She said, I just watched their faces. And, there's not many better feelings than knowing you had a positive impact on somebody.
Yeah. And I, there's so many speakers and trainers and coaches, and, there's process, and there's this and there's that. Yes, all of that's important. But we forget sometimes that we're dealing with emotional humans.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we want to make decisions based on fact. We want to take emotions out of it, but we don't have that option to just remove emotions.
Yep.
And I'll share this other one with you real quick. It was when my dad died, and my wife was not around when my dad died. She was actually in New Orleans at a wedding for my side of the family that my dad, my mom, and me and my daughter weren't at. Everybody else in my family was there. My wife was there representing us. My brother was there with his fiance, now wife. So nobody was there. And my dad died that evening while my wife was in the air flying home. The night before the funeral, we're at my mom's house. My mom had gone to sleep. My daughter's asleep. I'm sitting at the dining room table. My wife is sitting next to me, and I'm jotting down some notes because I'm going to speak at the funeral. I'm going to be the last one to speak. And my wife is hysterical crying. She's got a typewriter out. She's going to speak, and she's trying to type it out in big font so she can read it. And she's hysterical crying, and I'm trying to calm her down. And it makes her even more upset. And she said to me, like, why are you trying to calm me down? You're there for me. I wasn't even there for you when I should have been. Like, what are you talking about? You went to New Orleans to be with my whole family, and I didn't. You did that so I could be where I needed to be. Like, it's okay, and I'm here for you. And then she said, so many people loved your dad. It's going to be so crazy tomorrow and so busy. How are you going to deal with all those sad people? And I just looked at her. I go, I'm going to pick them all up. And then she looked at me like, you crazy SOB. World are you going to do that? I'm thinking to myself, what did I just get myself into? you know? And last part of the funeral, I go up and I'm talking and I see my mom down there in tears, and my wife had spoken just before me, and I went up with her because it was a lot, and I walked her back to her seat, and I went up and I'm talking to everybody. And I talk about my dad, and I talk about the life he lived, the impact he made, the lives he's touched. And that he never sat idly by. And I said, I think he needs a round of applause. I was petrified to ask for applause at a funeral.
Yeah.
And they applauded like crazy. And I go, I think he deserves more than that. And then it went nuts. Standing ovation. It was like at a concert. Whistles and other stuff. And I looked down at my mom, and she's got tears of joy running through her face. And I was like, I don't know how, but I did it. And I was scared to do it. But that's one of the moments I'm never going to forget. And I give my dad the credit for it because he had guts. He had a lot of guts. And that for me, I was scared. I was nervous to do it. I was like, this can go any number of ways.
Yeah.
But I did it. And everybody remembers. And they remember my dad. And they remember applauding at his funeral for the life he lived. And it picked them all up. And that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great story. I love that. How do people get a hold of you?
So, easiest way, first name, last name.com, jordanmodiano.com. There's the website. You can find me. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. But the website's the easiest way to do it, jordanmodiano.com.
Awesome. We'll put it in the show notes as well. Thanks for joining us, Jordan.
Thank you so much, Scott. This was great.
And thank you all for joining us for Champions of Inspiration. We'll see you again next time. God bless. Have a fabulous day.